Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina y el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin mi naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto
Travelers, welcome to this
Vallarta.
episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler. I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa Group of restaurants. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos beach. And then there's the El Dorado Restaurant Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week, we're going to meet some very dedicated volunteers with an organization called the International Friendship Club, or in Spanish, it's called Club Internacional de la Amistad, whose main goal is to raise money for cleft palate surgery for children in the community, as well as very many interesting projects. The way they raise these funds for these projects is by giving tours, by busing you to and walking you through some of the most beautiful homes in Puerto Vallarta. You're going to be meeting the president of the International Friendship Club. Her name is Peggy Nelson, who will explain the IFC's mission. And you'll also meet the man who coordinates these home tours. His name is David Lightfoot. You're going to really love David's voice. Then we are going to have listeners, Mitch and Donna Lee, who came to a meet and greet a few months back. And among other things, they shared their story of Mitch losing his U.S. passport and what he needed to do to get the replacement while in Puerto Vallarta, before they had to return to the States, that is. It's really good information. We have Vallarta news and more, so let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 8th of October, 2024. Well, after a month of living on the hill in Conchas Chinas, what a beautiful place that was, we moved into our new digs, and I'm coming to you from my new studio, which is up in Gringo Gulch. It's bound to be a lot noisier, so sorry if you hear any of that. Truth is, actually, that we found a cool place with just about the same killer view that we had when we were up in Conchas Chinas. It's just above the Hacienda San Angel, which we still have to try. We haven't gone there yet, but we're going to. It's also very close, actually, right around the corner from that beautiful restaurant called La Capella. And the plan is to stay here at least a month, maybe longer. The place has a very interesting layout. It's totally open to the city. I'm sitting right now. I am looking at the bay. There's no sliding glass window. There's no door. It's just open. And I have a very interesting story to tell you about this place. As you may or may not know, my wife and I have been coming to Puerto Vallarta for 40 years now. Our first visit was in 1984, and over the years, we took hundreds of pictures in Vallarta. And if you've been to my Facebook and my Instagram pages, you've seen a few of them over the years. So I have several photo albums that are filled with photos that we kept, and I've taken photos of these photos too. So they've been kind of helped out a little bit over the years, but they're all Puerto Vallarta past. And I've actually had several people ask, how is it that you have all these pictures? And I say it's pretty simple. We've had no floods, no fires, and no divorce. So anyway, what I'm getting at is that 40 years ago, I took a picture from across the river towards the hillside over in Gringo Gulch. And lo and behold, the place where I'm sitting right now is in the photo. The photo, when I looked at this place, I remembered the photo because I remembered that this place was an unusual home. It was unlike any of the others that were on the hill because it had a thatched roof, and it still does. So I asked the Airbnb host, Lars, if he thought it was the same house that was in the photo. I sent it to him, and he thought, yeah, it looks like it, but let me send it to Olga, the owner. And she said, yeah, that was the house, and that was being built at the time. And so I have pictures of that in the show notes. It's very interesting that it took 40 years to get up here, but I finally got up here. What can I tell you? If you're in town, the Palm Theater is having their opening night tonight. They're going to be celebrating their 25th anniversary. Let's see. Let me read this from their website. Welcome to the Palm Cabaret, opening night, 25th anniversary celebration. Join us at the Palm Cabaret and Bar for a night of music, laughter, and fun as we kick off our 25th year in style. Get ready for an unforgettable evening filled with talented performers, delicious drinks, and a lively atmosphere. Come celebrate with us and be part of this special milestone. Don't miss out on this exciting event. See you there. It says that the proceeds are actually going to rise with Refugio Infantil Santa Esperanza, which is one of our favorite children's shelters in Puerto Vallarta. So if you're in town, sounds like a really good time and for a good cause. So congratulations to the Palm Theater for making it 25 years. That is quite an accomplishment, I must say. And I have links to the website with their calendar on it and all that stuff. It looks like a full schedule. That's all in the show notes. I received an email from Stacy. Stacy writes, I'm assuming that Stacy is Canadian. Stacy says, "Hi Barry, want to share something that was in the news in Canada this week. Mexico has begun implementing a 19% tax on electronic devices that tourists bring into the country. This is apparently happening in Cancun Airport. The tax is payable at the airport. Below is a link to the article. Do you know if this is happening in PV?" Okay, well, Stacy, I read the article. It looks like the problem is with the authorities in Cancun. According to this article, folks are actually being hosed when they fly into the Cancun airport with as little as a laptop and an iPad. Seems overly punitive to me. I mean, it's totally uncool. I haven't heard of this happening in Puerto Vallarta, although there are rules like this on the books. They only really want you to bring in one thing, right? An iPad, a laptop, whatever it is. They don't like to see you bring in a bunch of laptops and just a bunch of electronics. It's true. Now, when we landed in the beginning of September, we actually packed enough electronic devices in our suitcases between the two of us, between my wife and I, to sink a ship. Okay. I mean, there was a lot of stuff, and the custom agents, they didn't even bat an eye. They just let us go right on through. But this sounds very serious. We'll need to keep an eye on that. If any of you listeners are having issues like this, I would like to know. Stacy would like to know. Anybody experience this when they land in Puerto Vallarta? Anyway, I have a link to that article that Stacy sent me in the show notes. It seems to me that you just need to avoid that nasty Cancun place and come to Puerto Vallarta instead. I received this email from listener Jim. Jim was the firefighter from Sacramento that I had on the show during a meet and greet, if you remember, of course. Well, Jim heard last week's show where I talked about the gardener, the maintenance guy, at our Conchas Chinas Airbnb. And the reason I talked about this guy was that my wife and I were blown away by his nonchalant way that he trimmed and he gardened, and he basically, was standing on a 5-inch wide ledge doing all this work with about 100-foot drop behind him, where one bad move could turn into a bad day. You know what I mean? So Jim writes, Barry, I listened to this week's podcast. Great as usual. Your story about Santos up high was so familiar to us. We stayed at 404 de los Corrales, the street below the Grand Miramar, on our first street. That's very funny. We were on the same street. We were just a little bit above you guys, actually. Anyway, he says, the street below the Grand Miramar on our first trip to PV prior to COVID. It's beautiful up there. One morning, my girlfriend Debbie and I were walking down to the Zona Romantica, and down the hill, a street or two, we heard someone yelling, "Hola." We couldn't figure out where the person was. We looked up, and above one of the cliffs that are reinforced with concrete, there was a man painting some railings on two balconies. He had a metal ladder between the two balconies lying flat with a strip of plywood resting on the ladder. This was his work platform. He was a good 100 feet above the ground. The local folks that make PV so beautiful are definitely not afraid to do the hard work. He was just a guy busting his butt, and he had time to say hola to us. This is why we love PV so much. We'll be back in early January for 3 months, and we can't wait. Hope to see you there. Take care. Jim, the retired Sacramento firefighter. So, Jim actually, he snapped a picture of this daredevil, and I put it in the show notes along with the one that I took of Santos. Well, you can see what they look like side by side. Anyway, Santos was our gymnast who used the balance beam, and he hung out there 100 feet above the street. And yes, Jim, I'll bet you as a firefighter, you did a double take when you saw that, I'll bet. Anyway, as I said, Jim has been on the show. He went to one of my meetups. I had him at a meet and greet, just like our upcoming guests, Mitch and Donna Lee. So let's get to them right now. Now, I've actually talked about Mitch and Donna Lee on the podcast before. They've written emails that I've read to you. And if you remember, Mitch wrote about losing his U.S. passport in Puerto Vallarta and then getting a new one while in Vallarta before he had to return back to his home in Alaska. So he and Donna Lee were actually kind enough to come to the meet and greet. We had a little meet and greet there. And you just came to say hi and to tell us the steps that they had to take to make that all happen. So anyway, let's go right now to JR's meetup that I hijacked. I always do. It's on Tuesday, every Tuesday, at 6:30, of course, at Nacho Daddy on Basilio Badillo 287. Anyway, it's let's meet Mitch and Donna Lee right there at Nacho Daddy in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So I'm here right now with Donna Lee and Mitch. Donna Lee, where are you from?
We're originally from California, but we escaped to Alaska about, how many, 8 years ago?
10 years ago.
10?
10 years ago. Uh-huh. So what part of California?
We were in Northern California, north of Nevada City, in a little alcove town called North San Juan.
North San Juan.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And I understand that you're from you were born in Glendale, California?
Yes, I was born and raised in Glendale, California.
Yeah, actually right near my jewelry store where I grew up.
Kessler, of course. Yeah, that was the number one place to go.
Yeah, was
Kessler Jewelers.
It was so funny when you sent me that email. You said, I know you from Kessler Jewelers. Yeah. That's really great.
I think my first wedding rings were from Kessler.
Look at that, you guys. It wasn't fake. It wasn't. The story I'm telling you is real.
That was real.
All right, there you go. All right, so you moved to Alaska. What are you doing in Puerto Vallarta? What was your path that led you here to Puerto Vallarta?
Actually, in 86, I graduated from massage school. And I had a girlfriend who lived here who said, come down. I've got so much work.
Really?
That I can put you to work. And I wound up working for Fiesta Americana, and I made house calls, and I was really busy. I went to Jalapa every chance I got to relax.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, because they were probably using you hard and heavy, right?
Oh, boy. Sometimes I would do 5 massages a day and carry my table up many stairs.
It's amazing because you say that. We're going to have a masseuse actually on the show in a couple of weeks. But the fact of the matter is that masseuses take a lot of punishment physically. I mean,
Oh my, yes. Yes,
crazy.
it's a whole workout for sure.
Right.
But it's very pleasurable. You receive what you give, and I always receive from giving.
Interesting. Wow. So that was this is in the 80s. You got down here.
About
I was
86.
86. And that was like the prime time to be down here.
It was.
It was the Wild West.
I lived at Hotel Posada de Dodger
Cool.
up on the third floor.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I know it. I know it.
Yeah.
Gosh. Oh, wow. This brings back some great memories.
Yeah.
From
Good
from
memories.
back in the 80s. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. So, Mitch, what was your first time here?
Gosh, my first time, I think we were on a cruise, and we stopped for a day. That was probably 15 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So we came down last year. We spent 6 weeks last year, and we realized that we missed it. We should have come a month earlier and stayed a month later.
Yeah.
That's what we did this time.
Wow. All right, let's talk about this. I've talked about you on the show, and both you and Donnelly. Donnelly sent me the email, and of course, she talked about the fact that you lost your passport. Okay, so you lost your U.S. passport when you arrived. How did that happen? I mean, how'd you lose it?
Well, we had been here for a month, and listening to your podcasts up in Alaska, we learned what to do, and we investigated and found out that the government had given out advice that you should carry your passport all the time.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so I was being a good tourist and carrying my passport in my left front pocket on New Year's Eve.
Uh-oh.
And the next day when I woke up, my passport was gone.
Okay.
It was, it was one of those things that you search through the house. You think that I must have left it here someplace. No, it was gone. And shocking.
So you were freaked out, probably.
I was freaked out.
Yeah. What'd you do?
Well, the first thing I did was I searched the internet like we all would do.
Yeah.
And I bet you I came across 50 different ways to get your passport.
Isn't that always the way it is?
It is.
Okay, which one do I pick?
It is. I mean, and a lot of them were years old. Advice that was years old. And if you don't look closely, you'll start doing something that you shouldn't be doing.
Right. Yeah.
So I finally connected with the embassy website in Mexico. And they had a very good website that described exactly what to do.
Okay.
So the first thing to do is I have to declare the passport lost.
Right. So
That's,
when you say declare it, what does that entail?
Well, declaring the passport as lost entails going to the embassy website, the U.S. Embassy website, and filling out the lost passport form.
Wow.
And,
okay. Yeah.
And they tell you to do that on the embassy site.
Okay. They say
That's good. That's good advice. Do that first.
Right.
It will render your existing passport invalid.
Okay.
That's the first thing it'll do. And but what they don't tell you is they want a copy of that report.
Okay.
It's on their website.
Yeah.
It's there for them. But when you go to get your passport renewed, they ask you for that form.
Okay. Okay. Take note, everybody. This is exactly first thing that you got to do is when you make that report, make a copy of it so you can take it with you to
with you to the embassy.
To the embassy, yeah? Okay.
So the second thing to do is you have to file a loss report with the police. So please remember this. There's municipal police in Puerto Vallarta, and there are federales.
Yeah.
And you do not file the report with the municipal police. You file the report with the federales.
With the nationals.
With the national, right. So I found my favorite taxi driver who is bilingual, and he knows where the federale's office is.
Okay.
And off we go.
Yeah.
And we
so where's the federale
the
office?
federale office is south of Puerto Vallarta almost to the Nayarit border.
Really? Oh, you got to go all the way down.
So you got to go quite a ways.
Yeah.
And when you get there, you pull up to this building that the lobby is massively huge, but there's only one little lady sitting there in the corner. That's all there is. She's a little lady sitting there in the corner with her phone.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So-
was she sitting there with a whole bunch of people? Or was it just you and her?
Just us and her. And,
Uh-huh.
and we want to file a lost report. And she hands us a small, almost postage stamp size piece of paper
Okay.
with a web address. And she says, go fill out the form on a website.
Uh-huh.
Well, they don't have a computer there. They don't have a printer there.
Oh, yeah. And they're in the middle of Guinea Goo Goo land, too.
That's
so,
right. And
yeah.
so she says, well, there's a place across the street to fill out the form.
Okay.
All right, good. We go across the street.
Bingo. Right.
Yeah, and the place is closed. Well, at that point, we start driving around looking for a place to log on and fill out this form.
Yeah.
And after about 10 minutes, we found the place. They filled it out. 200 pesos later, I have the paperwork. And that's when we drove back to the lady in the auditorium at her office.
All right.
She took out her huge stamps and stamped everything, handed me my copy, and the deed was done.
And they said, wait.
And
They said, wait for it to come, right?
well, no. This is just the loss report
Oh.
now.
Oh.
Now we haven't even been to the
Oh,
embassy
my
yet,
gosh. Okay. Oh,
and the embassy is in a different state altogether. That's a different story. And
okay.
well, yeah, we're a long ways from
No,
there.
we haven't even.
Now, the next item on the list for the embassy is the picture. You got to have a picture for your passport, you know.
Right. Right.
And there's only one lady in Puerto Vallarta that does pictures.
No way. Seriously?
Seriously. She's in Zona Romantica. She's been doing it for 40 years.
Right.
Okay. We took the bus. We finally found her. You know, it wasn't that difficult. She took our picture. And then she said, mañana.
And we all know what mañana means.
We know what mañana means.
Right.
And in the day of instant photos, it wasn't instant. So we had to go back to our place on the bus
Okay.
and then return back to the lady that mañana for our $200 photograph. 200 peso, I should say.
Right.
So now we had our photo. So we're all set now. We have our loss report that we filed with the embassy. We've got our loss report we filed with the federales.
Uh-huh.
We've got our photograph. And we filled out the paperwork on the website and printed it out for the passport. You have to print it out.
Yeah.
You got to go somewhere and get it printed out.
Wow. So it's not, things aren't over yet.
No, it's not yet. So at this point, we have to go to the embassy. Now, the embassy is located in a different state.
Really? Where is it?
The embassy
It's
is located in Nayarit.
Okay.
And you should first be aware that, well, taxis are licensed by state.
Right.
And a Nayarit taxi cannot operate in Jalisco. And a Jalisco cannot pick up passengers in Nayarit. Otherwise, there's a big old fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my favorite taxi driver says, that's all right. I've done this before. I know what to do. You may have to lay down in the back seat, but we'll get it done. So off we go. Make an appointment at the embassy. You have to make an appointment first.
Oh, wow. All right. So you had to do this twice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
So we go to the embassy, which is located in a shopping mall in Nayarit.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. And I was kind of curious, Barry. We walked down the hallway to where the embassy is, and there's a DHL office right there next to it.
Amazing.
Isn't that incredible? I
happened?
thought that was kind of convenient, you know? I didn't think anything of it, but all the people standing in line at the embassy all had their own personal DHL envelope.
Yeah.
But nobody said anything to me about a
so you
DHL.
didn't have yours.
No, I didn't have my DHL
Well, you were
envelope.
with them. You were with the group.
It wasn't in the instructions. So they finally call me into the embassy office, and I go up to the window, and the lady says, "Where's your DHL envelope?"
Oh, no. No. You had to come
What
back.
DHL envelope?
You had to come back?
She explains. The material I submit to them is shipped by DHL to Guadalajara. To the Guadalajara office does the passports. Then the Guadalajara office ships via DHL your passport back to you.
Okay. All right. So that step was missed.
That was missed. It wasn't said anywhere in the embassy instructions.
So did you have to like open up a DHL account?
No, I did not have to open up an account, but they sent me out of the embassy to the DHL office, conveniently located right next door to the embassy door.
Really?
And after $600, I had two way bills.
Was it dollars or pesos?
I'm sorry. Excuse me. After 600 pesos.
Okay, good. Okay.
Thank you, Barry.
Okay. Helping.
600 pesos back to the embassy office and to complete my process. I give her the DHL envelope, all the paperwork, and another 200 some odd dollars. Now it's dollars.
Okay.
Okay. It's a credit card.
Yeah.
And I go to another window where the notary is, and they have to notarize your signature.
Yikes.
And that's when the guy quietly whispers, "We didn't charge you, but we think we can do you in 2 weeks."
Interesting.
They usually charge extra for a 2-week turnaround.
Okay.
So my job was done. Back to the my taxi driver. I get in the car. I said, "Do you want me to lay down in the back seat?" I'm kind of nervous. He says, "No, I don't think so. We've done this lots of times. I've never been caught. Never been a problem." He leaves the parking garage of the shopping mall. And not more than a quarter mile later, the lights are going off.
No.
And the cop is behind us.
No.
Yes. And I think the cop is just sitting there. I think he's sitting there. He knows that's what happens.
He knows, sure.
So we stopped.
So what did you have to, what kind of more data did you have to do with that one?
My driver jumps out of the car and runs back to the cop. I see them talking, and the cop is continuing to write. He's writing and writing and writing. And the fine looks like it's imminent when my buddy comes back to the car really quickly, very agitated, grabs 300 pesos out of his center console, goes back to the cop.
Okay.
And a few minutes later, miraculously, there's no ticket, and we're driving off. And he missed the $3,000 fine, 3,000 peso.
Yeah.
He missed the 3,000 peso fine.
Interesting. I've heard about this, that you can't do this thing if taxis back and forth, Nayarit. But this is the first time I've ever heard a situation where, they're after you.
Well, he said the way to do it legitimately would have been for me to take another taxi to the Jalisco border where there's a Starbucks.
Okay.
And he would be waiting for me. My taxi driver would wait for me at the Starbucks.
Interesting. Okay. So that is the way to do it. If you're
the alternative or way to do it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. All right. So then.
So we drive back to Jalisco. I got home just fine. I'm expecting my passport to come in 2 to 4 weeks. And last Saturday, it arrived at DHL. I got an email from them. Said my passport was here. Come pick it up.
Really?
So that was about a 2-week period that it took.
So that is not bad. When you think about it, a lot of you folks are here for, you're here staying months at a time. If you lose your passport, there's a way to get it back. Did they tell you, like, if you were going to be heading back, like, the next day, what you could possibly do, or are you just screwed?
Well, it was interesting. I heard the story at the passport office. You're lucky that you lost it and you got time. Because we don't go back for a couple of months. But there are some people who don't discover their lost passport until they're at the airport. And that's when they figure it out.
Yeah.
And
so what happens to those people? I mean,
well, the passport office told me that they've done it in a matter of a couple of days.
Really?
But I wouldn't expect that to happen.
No.
I think
and you almost have to speak Spanish to have that happen, right?
I think so. I mean, it's tough without it.
Well, the experience that you had is so invaluable to other listeners because it happens. I mean, people lose their passport and they don't know what the heck to do. And your experience really is going to be helping a whole lot of other people. And not only that, but the blog post here will also be discovered from other people as well. So they'll be able to see how to do it.
Yeah. I really wish I had listened to my wife. For all you husbands out there, when she says, wear it on your body, she's right.
Right? Yeah.
She's right.
Yeah.
So
now, remember, keep in mind now, though, that, what was happening back probably a year and a half ago when the state of when here in Vallarta, they were going after people that were not carrying passports with them. That's kind of over. They've decided that is not effective.
good.
Yeah. So, but keep in mind though that, and I've said this before, in the past, the thing that would get you through was a black and white photo of your passport, of your front page with your picture, and of the back page with the number. And those that used to have a photocopy of that, and you carry that with you, that used to serve just fine. But during that very short period of time, there was a short window of time, and I talked about it, where, you needed to carry your passport. Yeah. And so you were doing the right thing, but man.
Yeah, I won't do it again.
What you had to go through.
Now I'll carry a copy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing with me what your experience.
Well, you're welcome, and I hope it saves others.
Oh, I will. That's why we're talking today.
Great.
Thanks so much. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for coming on the show today, and thanks for joining me today. I really, really appreciate your being here today.
Certainly been my pleasure, Barry.
Oh,
and I'm so thrilled to meet you and your wife, Debbie, and JR.
Yeah.
It's a highlight for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mitch and Donnelly. Such great information. And wow, Donnelly, come on. Working for the Fiesta Americana, giving massages? What a trip, amiga. I mean, that is amazing. That's amazing. And Mitch, actually, he wrote up the directions for replacing your U.S. passport if you should lose it in paradise. And so I have all of that information in the show notes. You can find it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. Mitch and Donnelly and Debbie and I have become really good friends. And Mitch and Donnelly, if you're listening, we miss you a bunch. All right. Next up, we are going to meet some pretty amazing people who achieve amazing things by raising money, organizing home tours of some of the nicest mansions, villas, and grand homes in Puerto Vallarta. The organization is called the International Friendship Club, or the Club Internacional de la Amistad in Spanish. The club's mission statement, right from their website, is promote friendship and enrichment for members, raise and distribute funds for charitable giving, and provide volunteer service in response to medical, humanitarian, and educational needs in Jalisco, Mexico. That sounds pretty lofty, doesn't it? Well, let me tell you what, they're amazing people. We're going to meet them right now. Let's get to know the president of the club. Her name is Peggy Nelson. And along with Peggy is a gentleman named David Lightfoot. David organizes these home tours. Both are delightful people who serve selflessly. The IFC's clubhouse actually is it's a big building on the corner right across from the Vallarta factory and right next to the old restaurant Fuente del Puente. You know where that is. And where the old HFC bank used to be. It's not there anymore. It's over on Libertad where the bridge, the Insurgentes bridge hits Libertad. That's where that is. The main thrust of this organization is their Cleft Palate program, which you're going to hear about, along with everything else that this organization does. So I asked Peggy and David if they could come meet us for the interview at my favorite margarita place, above the din of the city, at Restaurant San Lucas. And lo and behold, they said yes. So let's go right now to Lázaro Cárdenas 355. We'll go upstairs and let's have a margarita and chat with some very special people, Peggy Nelson and David Lightfoot with the International Friendship Club and Vallarta Home Tours in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Peggy and David, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Pleasure
you
to be
very
here.
much.
Tell us a little bit about, Peggy, let's start with you. Tell us a little about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
Well, I'm from a little town north of Chicago called Glencoe, and I used to come down here when I was still working, at least a week a year, just to get away from the pressures of work and find an oasis, which there are many here. And then after I retired about 4 or 5 years ago, I started coming down on a longer term basis.
Okay.
So I'm now here usually 3-4 months a year.
Okay. So you're not a full-timer yet.
I do own a condo here.
Yeah.
And I have had years where I've been here up to 11 months, but I'm still going back and forth.
Okay. Very good. Very good. And so, David, where are you from?
Originally from England, as you can probably gather.
I hear that, yeah.
But we've lived 40 years in Bloomington, Minnesota, suburb of Minneapolis. And that explains why we're here.
Right. Oh, I can hear
and
that.
have been for about 13 years.
Fantastic. So you're living full-time here?
No, we
No?
rent for about 3 months.
Okay. So you're part-timers too?
Yes.
Okay. But still 3 months. I mean, people like me can only dream about 3 months at a time. So I'm, very jealous. What got you involved with the International Friendship Club? Peggy, maybe I can start with you.
Sure. Yeah, I'll take that. When I first came down here full time after retirement, I wanted to learn to speak Spanish better than what I could speak at the time. And the International Friendship Club offered Spanish classes. They have 4 levels 3 times a week. So I started with that.
Yeah.
And then learned over time more and more about the International Friendship Club and got more deeply involved in the organization.
So, David?
About 12 years ago, my wife and I went on a home tour, and were very impressed. Very professional, very enthusiastic, and we kept on going on tours for a number of years, and then eventually I got to know a few other people in the IFC, and one of them prevailed upon me to run the home tour operation, which is what I do.
Wow. So did this person who prevailed this upon you, was that the last person that ran this operation?
It was.
All right. Look, so you got drafted. Very good. Very good.
I did. Yes.
Tell us what a tour entails. So someone's going to take a tour. First of all, they gotta reach out to you, right? To make reservations and stuff like that. I mean, how's that done?
The reservations now are all done on our website. We don't take any cash or anything like that. Those who are coming on tours, and November and December, it's 1 tour a week on Tuesdays. January, February, March, and part of April, it's 2 tours a week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Okay.
We always meet at the Sea Monkey, right on the Malecon there. And we have a facility to be able to gather the people, explain to them what they're going to see, and then put them on buses, usually 1, maybe 2 buses each time. We have quite a number of homes to go to. And going back in history a little bit, about 20 years or so ago, somebody got the idea of getting in touch with the owners of some of the lovely homes, most of which are just south of the city in Conchas, and asking them if they would allow us to come by and tour their nice homes on behalf of the charity IFC.
Very good.
That has blossomed. We now have about 70 homes available, not all the time, of course. And we are the largest benefit of finances to the IFC, as Peggy just mentioned.
Yeah.
And I have, as I say, 40 volunteers. They're very enthusiastic about it. And we feel very good about what we're doing to help the charities. All the money that we receive, except for some expenses, the buses, for instance, go straight to the charities that the IFC supports.
That's great news. All right, let's talk a little bit about the charities. Then we'll get back to the homes, because I really want to talk a little bit about these beautiful homes that you tour. You are all going to be, I'm sure, amazed by some of these places. Peggy, tell us a little bit about the charities that the IFC supports.
Okay. Well, in 1985, there was a couple, Ron and Celia Walker, who arranged for cleft palate surgery for a friend of theirs. Apparently, cleft palate is an issue that's seen a lot among people who live in the more hilly areas around Puerto Vallarta.
Really?
And after they assisted this one child getting cleft palate surgery, others came to their door. And, gradually they built up a charity that would help support cleft palate surgeries. And that's been going on since 1985, continuously. There's been points at which, we've done say 8 different programs in a year, with 10 children. That's 80 surgeries a year. And the International Friendship Club makes all the arrangements, getting donated doctor time, nurse time, anesthesiologist, hospital space, all of the different things that are components of that kind of surgery and follow-up. Over time, and especially during COVID, where we couldn't do the surgeries like before, we expanded into supporting other charities in the Puerto Vallarta area.
Mm-hmm.
And these are about 20 organizations. Some of them are educational, some are social service organizations, and some are medical in nature. And we use the social activities that we engage in, including the home tours, to raise funds basically to support the charities. So we have, like I mentioned, the Spanish classes. We also have bridge lessons, social bridge. We have Friday happy hours. We have dine-arounds, multiple activities, which are on our website, ifcvallarta.org. And the money from all of these activities goes towards supporting these charities. So, for example, in the educational area, we support the Huichol people, who are indigenous people living in the mountains around Vallarta, with scholarships. We have given grants to the Vallarta Schools for Girls, which was started 2 years ago. And we are one of the funders of Biblioteca Los Mangos, the only library in the Puerto Vallarta area, and it also receives no government funding whatsoever.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's the educational side. Social services, we help short-term orphanages. We supply backpacks to several hundred children in the area when they start school. We work with physical rehabilitation facilities that charge on a sliding scale basis, and we basically subsidize the physical rehabilitation. We work with families where the children have cancer or where the mom has cancer. And a lot of these are very small organizations, and then on up to more medium size. We tend not to fit with the biggest organizations because those are usually better funded. We're trying to fill the gap.
Uh-huh. Wow, it's amazing. I'm blown away by what you do there. Wow. So just to give you an idea, this is where the money goes that you are paying when you go on one of these tours.
That's right.
David, tell us about some of these houses that you do tours in. How many do you visit per session, so to speak, per tour?
On each tour, we usually visit 4 homes. Now they also go up as far as the marina, as well as down to Conchas Chinas.
Yeah.
And they will be anywhere from, let's say, 3,000 square feet to 20,000 square feet.
Oh my! Wow. Is there one particular place that you visit that is just crazy, blow your socks off? You'll never see a place like that ever again.
There are actually quite a number.
I'll bet.
Is it La Bomba? I think is one. La Bomba is one which we has the wow factor.
The wow factor. So
yes.
La Bamba.
Yes.
Now, is that in Conchas Chinas?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are quite a number of other ones.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, look out for La Bamba when it's on the tour, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And we make sure, and this is one of the things, on each bus we have a guide and 2 docents. They go with the guests. Make sure that, first and foremost, everybody looks down, because steps are a different height in Mexico, as we've all found out. They will help people if they need it. basically take care of what's going on. But what's really nice is when we have the owners involved with the tours, and they often will give a little description of the history of the home and what they do and the way in which they look after it, and something perhaps about the art, a lot of very, very good art, and various other things.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So that's it adds a little bit of something extra when you get the owner in there who's talking about his place or her place. That's
yep.
And they would be the only ones that would know things about their place. So very
That's
interesting. Right. What does it run? What does it cost to take one of these tours?
It's 800 pesos.
Okay.
And that is for the tour. The tour takes about 3 hours usually. They're, as I say, start from the sea monkey, and usually they're put back there. They go back there.
Go back there at the end of the tour.
Yep.
All right. Well, this is a great way to spend 3 hours. 800 pesos, a great. I gotta say, fair price for a tour like that, and for being able to see some places that you will never be able to see without taking a tour like that, I think is pretty remarkable. When you're taking these tours, I guess one of the questions is, I'm guessing it's probably not very handicap friendly. I would say probably if you're like wheelchair bound or something like that, you probably should avoid this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that definitely is the case. And that is advertised both in our brochures and on our website.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Right. A lot of stairs and a lot of steps.
Well, this is Puerto Vallarta. What I love about it is that we have the ocean at the base of the mountains, and we have mountains and sea. And it doesn't make for easy walking, but it makes it beautiful.
Oh yeah, it makes definitely for that. What is there as far as those tours go? Is there anything I'm missing on the tours? Is there anything else that we need to talk about as far as
preparation
taking these tours? Yeah.
Yes. One of the things we always do is have a talk about what's happening in the what the tours are about, where they'll be going, who the guides and docents are. They're introduced. And then on each bus, the guide and or the docents will describe each home before we get there.
Okay. Anything
special about them, things of that nature.
Right. So that you're ready, so you know what to look for and all that other stuff. And then hopefully you'll have, one of the owners there to really say some nice things. Peggy?
You would not believe how enthusiastic the docents on the bus are about what they do. And they give you a running dialogue on the bus about Vallarta itself, which is very helpful. History of the neighborhoods that you drive through and things like that. A lot of comedy. It's a lot of fun. They make it fun. And it's resulted in our being one of the top rated tours on TripAdvisor.
Really? Really? Oh, that's amazing. Well, I got to take one of these tours.
Yes.
See what it's like.
We'd like to invite you.
Well, I have to go. Well, and you all have to go too. So what would you say, Peggy? What would you say about this home tour if someone was saying, why should I go on this home tour? What would you tell them?
Well, first, you are helping support the International Friendship Club and the charities that it supports. And that's an investment in the community. But in addition, you're able to see one-of-a-kind homes. As you mentioned, you'll never be able to get inside these homes otherwise than through these tours. Some of them have incredible vistas, architecture, art, and many of them are Architectural Digest quality.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Well, let's go into the bonus round. Let's talk about things that you all like to do, because you spend a lot of time in Puerto Vallarta. If you were gonna go out for a breakfast, what would be your favorite breakfast in Puerto Vallarta? What would you say it would be?
Okay, I love having breakfast on the beach. We always have a discussion about whether to try a new place, but for me, I want to be planted with my feet in the sand. And my favorite dish is called machaca, which is a pulled beef mixed with scrambled eggs, and it's very Mexican.
Yeah. So where do you eat it?
Typically at Cuates y Cuetes, where there's also live music at night, which is another thing I like about that venue.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, Cuetas is one of our favorites. And so I have to try their machaca. I've never tried their machaca.
Go for it.
Oh, my God. I mean, I love their tortilla soup. Don't get me started on that. David, what about you? What do you got a favorite breakfast spot in town?
Well, we don't usually do breakfast outside the home, but we love to go for lunch.
Yeah.
And also dinner, of course.
So got a favorite lunch spot?
Not really, but for dinner, La Palapa.
La Palapa.
And we're going there actually 2 days' time. And various other ones. The food here is excellent.
So when you go to La Palapa, what's your favorite dish? What do you order there?
Usually fish. Fish is Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
Absolutely.
And it varies a lot. What we have the fun of doing, because we quite often have guests staying with us, is to take them to these restaurants.
Sure.
And like us, they say, well, when I get back to the United States, I probably won't go to a Mexican restaurant.
Peggy, got a favorite lunch spot?
Again, I'll probably end up at the beach for lunch, or I might go down the highway towards the Botanic Garden.
Yeah.
The Vallarta Botanic Garden has an incredible restaurant. I don't know if a lot of people are aware of that, but the food there is excellent. And if you get there the right time of year, there'll be hummingbirds all around you as well.
Yeah. Well, Bob has got he's got a background in the restaurant industry, so he knows how to run a good restaurant. They certainly do have a lovely restaurant there. How about dinner? You got a favorite dinner spot?
Again, a lot of choices here. Vallarta is a foodie paradise, but I do like Trio.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's on Guerrero, and it's 2 levels. Excellent service, great food. But as I mentioned, there are so many venues here. It's hard to choose from on any given night. Unlike David, I do eat most of my meals away from home.
Is that right? Yeah, there you go.
Almost every night, every breakfast, every lunch, every dinner.
Yeah.
For a special evening, we like to go to Hacienda San Angel.
Oh, really? Tell me about that place. I've never been.
It's delightful.
Yeah.
It's an oasis. You'd hardly know it's there. There's one door.
Yeah.
You walk in, all of a sudden you see a fountain and stairs and up to the restaurant itself. They have an excellent mariachi band, which helps. The food is terrific.
Right.
It's a wonderful experience.
I've looked in. I've actually looked in that door you're talking about. It's just to see it's just like beautiful little courtyard, and I can't imagine what the rest of it looks like. I'm sure it's gorgeous.
It's like a monastery. It's full of statues of angels and
really
monks and different things like that.
Oh.
And then you go up the stairs to the rooftop where the dining is, and you have this panoramic view of Banderas Bay.
Oh, so you get that view. You get the view there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then I do have to go there. Okay. All right.
One other tip.
Yeah.
For a margarita at sunset, there is another restaurant where I tend not to go for the food, but I go for the margarita at sunset.
Yeah.
Just up the street from Hacienda San Angel. Yeah, Chez Elena. That is a place to go watch the sunset.
That is it's amazing, right? I mean, people don't know about it. It's an old place. That is old Vallarta for sure. Okay, well, I've got to go up there too.
Yes.
Right, thanks for reminding me.
It's in Gringo Gulch.
How's the margarita? Is it good?
Yes, I especially like the frozen mango margarita.
Okay. All right. It is good, is what you're saying. Okay. All right. Take notes. Chez Elena, or whichever you like. If you had a day off and you were going to go off somewhere and out of Vallarta for a day and come back the same day, where would you go?
I would probably go down to the Botanic Garden.
Yeah.
They have a tour in the morning, which you can take or you don't have to take. They have trails. And if you don't mind a walk down a steep hill, you can climb down from the gardens to a river. And it's a freshwater river. You can swim in it if the weather's good. And then finishing up there in the late afternoon, I try to finish up around 5 or 6 and then catch a little cab over to Le Cliff.
Okay.
Which is a mountainside restaurant. that has a thatched roof and several different levels that wind down to the waterfront. Beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. Well, they had a little issue there with the hurricane, but they put it all together. They're back in business again.
I can't believe they did it within like a month or two.
They did it really fast. I'm wondering if they used real thatched roof, or if they used the they now have artificial that they use, which is very interesting.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
We were there about a week ago.
Uh-huh.
And yes, they have put it all back together. It looks excellent.
But
it's not it's not a thatched roof, I can tell you that, coming from England.
Okay. What about you, David? If you were going to leave for the day, where would you go?
We've been to Bucerias quite often. Love the beaches there, which are really good.
Yeah.
And nice different restaurants along the area and so on.
You have a favorite restaurant in Bucerias or no?
Not that I can remember particularly.
Right. They're all good, right? Just
they are.
Wander into one and eat.
They're good. They're all good. The people are nice.
Yeah.
It's just a delightful day out.
So if you had 3 days, what would you do if you had 3 days?
We've been to Guadalajara a couple of times and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting city. The area nearby towards the lake, where they have all the furniture making and things of that nature, is very interesting.
Very nice.
It's a nice city, a pretty city.
Wow. All right. Now, if you're going to go there, are you going to drive? Or are you going to take a bus? What are you going to do when you go there?
We flew.
Oh, you flew?
Yep.
Oh, you're not fooling around.
Yes.
What is that? Like a half-hour flight?
A little bit more.
Yeah.
Actually, what we did was then fly on to Minnesota from Guadalajara.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
That was a stop.
Yeah.
Excellent. Peggy, what about you? You have any place that you would go to for 3 days and have a little fun?
Well, I think you probably are aware of the magic cities that we have in the mountainous areas around Vallarta, and they each have their own personality. And Vallarta, or Jalisco, the state that we're in, is known for its production of mezcal. And so you can go on tours. I'm going on one this Thursday, a raicilla tour. There's raicilla, there's tequila, and there's mezcal.
Yeah.
All produced here. And we're going to spend the day going to San Sebastian, which is a fun little town. Has a little jail, the old-fashioned type you see in Westerns. And along the way, we're going to go to raicilla production facilities and do some raicilla tasting.
Oh, wow.
And to coffee plantation.
So you'll have to give me the name of the tour so I can put it in the show notes, okay? And
okay.
Let me know how it goes too. I'd love to hear how that went. Because we have people asking all the time. They want to know about tequila tasting and, well, of course, raicilla tasting. Now it's become really, really big. So
yeah. There is a raicilla festival in Puerto Vallarta on Isla Cuale every year. I think it's around May this year, but that is really fun.
Yeah.
They have like 10 different raicilla manufacturers come in. They all set up. They have barbecues and they have mariachi as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All day long.
Make sure, when that happens, make sure you get on down to the island. It's a lot of fun. And of course, make sure you eat something before you go. So that's also very important. If you had a word of advice for a first-time traveler coming here to Puerto Vallarta, besides taking a tour with the International Friendship Club, what would that be?
Well, I think it would be to go to some of the live music at night. Just like it's a foodie paradise, it's a music paradise. And there are no ends of shows here that you can go see. And they're usually scheduled at nice times of the day, 7:30 show, 9 o'clock show. You're done by 11. And you have a full evening.
Yeah, absolutely.
We get great variety here. We get Latin, French, some rock, some blues. There's something for everyone.
Yeah, even got some country here in Puerto Vallarta, believe it or not. David, what would you say?
Well, tomorrow we're going on a whale watch. And we did that last year with the same people, and it was fantastic.
So get out there and get on the bay, right?
Exactly. Yes. It really is well worthwhile.
Wow.
That's something that we like to do.
Yeah, well, whales are here until the end of March or so. So make sure, if you are in town, if you can get on the water, it's great. It's beautiful. Word of warning. Any words of warning for somebody coming here for the first time? Peggy?
Well, I have been pickpocketed twice, and it was because I was wearing a backpack, which is easy to unzip from behind. So wear a front-facing bag with a zipper.
Excellent advice. David?
On the same token, my wallet has a nice big secure chain. They see the chain, they may not take my wallet.
Interesting. Wow.
Mhm.
And is the chain, you wear it with the chain hanging out, or?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I like them to see it.
You would like to, so you can let them know that you're aware. Very good. Both of those are really, really good advice. And, coming from someone who has, experienced a pickpocketing, it's nice to know.
Yeah, people sometimes come here with the impression that Mexico is scary. And the truth of it is, it's not. The people here are so lovely, friendly, warm, and Vallarta especially. I think more than many other parts of the country. I feel very safe here. Certainly safer than I do often in the United States.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. Did you want to add to that?
Yes, little story. When they changed the buses to coins only, I got on a bus with a 50 peso note, and there was hardly anybody else there, and the bus driver, well, sit down and so on. There were three gentlemen sitting just a little bit up the bus from me. One of them came up to me, spoke a little bit of English. He said, "Do you need some change?" And I said, "Yes, I would, please." And between the three of them, they gave me change for the 50 peso note. I mean, that's typical, we find, of the people here.
Absolutely. You know what? Absolutely right.
They're very friendly. And in our case, because our Spanish is not so good, they're very patient.
Excellent. I love to hear that. All right. Well, let's get back. Let's come back to the International Friendship Club. How do we find you?
We are on the internet at ifcvallarta.org. We have a web page there. We also are on Facebook and Instagram, International Friendship Club. And there you'll find more information about our charities as well as about all the programming that we do.
Excellent. All right, David. And Peggy, I want to thank you both very much for coming on the show. I'm going to have links to all that in the show notes. You can find it, of course, at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. Look for the podcast episode where we talk about the IFC, or the International Friendship Club, Puerto Vallarta. And Peggy and David, I want to thank you so much for taking a lot of time out of your busy day to sit with me and talk with me and allow me to introduce you both to my listeners. I truly appreciate it.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I can't wait to take some of these tours when they get started up again, and it's coming up really, really soon. I'm just amazed at all these projects and that these people do at the International Friendship Club. It's amazing, just amazing. I got word from Peggy, who writes, "We are having a 3-day Cleft Palate clinic this Wednesday," so that's tomorrow through Friday. Wednesday is the day the medical staff consults with the children and their parents. Thursday is surgery day at CMQ. Friday is follow-up and hospital discharge. Also, if you watch the Paco Ojeda Facebook live shows that he does, he'll be at the clinic actually tomorrow, Wednesday, the 9th of October. He'll be doing this show over there. So if you want to see what the place looks like and what's going on there at the clinic, well, check out his show. I'll also be posting some video to the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show Facebook page and Instagram pages from there as well. Also, Peggy writes, the IFC's season formally kicks off with a reception at the clubhouse on December the 8th. The Spanish classes start mid-October. The home tours start Tuesday, November the 19th. And then after the new year, the home tours will be offered Tuesdays and Wednesdays through March. So there you go. Get your home tour reserved before you come to town. I think that's a good idea. Think about what day you want to go and go do it. Have all the information and the links in the show notes, so check those out. For those home tours. You can also check the website out for other things that interest you. It's a very, very interesting page. Something should catch your eye. There's many ways you can help. There's volunteer opportunities. You could volunteer to teach a class, sponsor an event. Anyway, check out the website for the International Friendship Club, the Club Internacional de la Amistad in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Okay, that should do it for this week. Next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant and excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com. That's JR's website. Reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value for value proposition. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else. So do it, really. And when you do take one of these tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. Don't forget his maps, his DIY tours. I have links to all of those in the show notes. And once again, if you like this podcast, hey, please take the time and subscribe and follow, share with a lover of Puerto Vallarta, or give me a good review wherever or however you happen to be listening. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, what's wrong with you? Get over there. You really need to have a look. I have links to the places we talk about, interesting pictures and more right there in my blog and in the show notes for each episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right? All right. Thank you to Mitch and Donna Lee. Donna Lee, I can't believe you got a job giving massages to vacationers in the 80s. What a great story. And Mitch, thanks for sharing your experiences and what you had to go through to get that new passport delivered right there in Puerto Vallarta for you. I have all of his notes in the show notes. And thank you so much to Peggy Nelson, president of the International Friendship Club, the Club Internacional de la Amistad. You are an angel, really. You and David Lightstone, thanks for all you do to get these buses rolling and schedule these IFC home tours. I mean, hey, make sure that you reserve your tour soon. I have the links in the show notes. Thanks, everybody. And remember, once again, the IFC season formally kicks off with the reception at the clubhouse December 8th. There's Spanish classes. They start mid-October. The home tours start Tuesday, November the 19th. And after the new year, the home tours will be offered Tuesdays and Wednesdays through March. Remember all that. And hey, thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. It's Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for you all to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino, perno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río, cuando todo está en calma, pronto cae la noche, brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta.